Hi everyone, welcome to Coding Problem Solving series, and today we will be solving Leetcode question number 66, which is very famous by the name +1. Now let's quickly read the question. It says that you are given a large integer represented as an integer array by the name digits, where each element of that array, digits I, is actually the ith digit of the integer. Now the digits are ordered from most significant to least significant in left to right order, and the large integer does not contain any leading zeros. So these two are actually the requirement for any valid number or integer. Now we are asked to increment the large integer by 1 and return the resulting array of digits. Now let's understand the problem in simpler words with the help of examples. Okay, so let's pick up example number 1. Now the problem says that you have been given an integer array digits, which in this case is 1, 2, 3, and it represents a large integer itself. So here the array 1, 2, 3 represents a large integer 123. Now it is asking us to increment this large integer by 1 and then returning the resulting array. So 123 plus 1 becomes 124, and then it is asking us to return this 124 integer in the form of array, which is 1, 2, 4. Please note that the input and output is in the form of array of integers. So same is the case with example 2, where 4321 becomes a number or an integer 4321, and when we add 1 to this integer, it becomes 4322, which is then returned in the form of an array. Now comes the second case, where the input array is 4, 2, 9, which is 429. When we add 1 to it, it becomes 430, and simply we return it in the form of an array with elements 4, 3, 0. But here comes the exceptional case, where we have all 9s and no non-9 digit. So in this case, when we add 1 to our integer, it becomes 10, and we return it in the form 1, 0. Now why we could not return an array simply with a single element 10? Because here is a constraint which says that each element of this array digit has to be between 0 and 9. So it is very important not to assume anything and clear all the constraints before switching to the solution. Now let's see how we can approach to solve this problem. Now one of the most common instincts that I have seen in the candidates to solve this problem is by using solution 1, where we convert the array to an integer, add 1 to it, and then convert that integer back to an array, which is then returned from our method. Now this is kind of a brute force solution, because the step 1 and step 3 of this solution has a time complexity of order n, which is not bad at all, but it is true for all cases. Yes, even for the best case. Now what's the best case here? Best case is when we don't have a 9 on the rightmost digit of our array. Now if you see the example here 1, 2, 3, we just have to convert a single digit 3 to 4 to have a solution. But even for the single digit conversion, we have to go all the way to convert it into an integer and then back to an array, which seems a little bit costly. And surely the interviewer is expecting a better solution from us, which is the solution 2. Okay, in solution 2, let's forget the code and see how our mind thinks when we solve this problem ourselves. So first of all, we are very much focused on the rightmost digit of the given array. Now, if it is a non-9 digit, we simply increment the digit and then return the array. However, if we face a 9 in the array, we make it 0 and we switch to the left digit and then repeat the process. So in this case, if it is a non-9, then we increment and return our array. This is an optimized solution because we have a worst case complexity of order n, our worst case being all 9s, where we have to touch all the digits and complete the loop. But the best case here is O of 1, which is actually when there are no 9s on the right side of our array, which was the first example that we discussed. And the general complexity is of the order k, where k is number of 9s starting from right of the array, which was our second example. Now let's quickly shift to Leetcode and start coding our solution. Okay, so here is our method +1, which accepts an array of integer digits as an argument and also has a return type of an integer array. Now at first, we have to create a for loop to traverse this array in reverse, that is from rightmost element to the leftmost. Now in this for loop, we are using an index I, which is acting as a pointer, and we are traversing this array from rightmost element to the leftmost element until the index is greater than or equal to 0. Now inside the element, we have to check for each element of this array, which we'll do using an if block. Now, if we encounter an element which is less than 9, that is anything between 0 and 8, then simply we have to increment that digit and return the array from our method. And that's it, guys. It is the end of our solution if there are no trailing 9s on the right side of the array, which is this example. But what if we encounter a 9? For example, in this case, so in that case, we have to simply make that element to 0 and pass the baton to the next left element of the array. And that's how the entire for loop will be completed, and we will return the array as soon as we encounter an element which is less than 9. But wait, we are forgetting a very important exceptional case here, a case where we get an array consisting of all 9s. Now in this case, we will return an array as an output whose length is 1 greater than that of input array and the first element being 1. Now if you see the example 3, which is the same exact case, the output array's length is 1 greater than that of input array and the first element of that array is 1. So we have to handle this case explicitly in the code. Let's do that. So first, let's create a new array with length 1 greater than the input array. And then explicitly mark the first element of this array as 1 and return this array as the output of this method. So let's run this code. Great. It ran successfully for the first test case. Now let's try submitting the code. Awesome. So this brings us to the end of this problem solving video on Leetcode question 66 +1. Feel free to comment down in the section below for any query. Please like, share and subscribe the channel. See you next time. Thank you.